Hi heathens! This video is going to be a makeup and movie review. I'm going to be reviewing Anna and the Apocalypse, which is a movie that can currently be found on Tubi. So for free, it does have ads, of course. It is labeled as a horror comedy, and the tagline underneath is a zombie Christmas musical. So we had actually kind of randomly picked this movie, and it just really worked out that it was a zombie Christmas musical, because it's almost Christmas, and if things work out when I upload this, it will be on Christmas, so it'll be my Christmas video and essentially Christmas movie review. Not that that's like a thing, a Christmas movie review, like that I do, but you know what I mean. So, let me give you a little bit of information about it while I get some of my stuff ready for my makeup. It is a 2017 film, rated R. The tomato meter ratings, 77% critic score, 63% audience score. The director is a man named John McPhail. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry. Writers are Alan McDonald, Tommy Riley, and Ryan McHenry. And then the main cast. That is going to be Ella Hunt, who plays Anna, Malcolm Cumming, who plays John, and Sarah Swire, who plays Steph. Now, that being said, there is another big name in the movie. Now, I guess when the movie was made, he wasn't as big a name, so he wasn't listed as like one of the main three. And like, he is, but he's not. But it is Ben Wiggins who plays Rawld in the show You, if y'all have seen that. It's one of the later seasons, and his character, in my opinion, is quite insufferable. And spoiler alert, this one kind of starts out that way too. So, he's just really good at playing the, like, jerk characters, it seems. But, we start off with a little, like, clip of a radio show saying that that the CDC has recategorized a flu-like epidemic that has been going around. It is a scene with Anna, John, which you find out is like her neighbor and best friend, in the car with her dad, and they're talking about going to a Christmas show at the school, and she says she can't go because she has to work. And, you know, she's like, yeah, like, tell him, John, like, that I can't go to this show. And he's like, John's like, yeah, she can't go because she has to pay off that ticket. And then he and Anna just kind of, like, exchange this look. And Anna's like, that's not what I meant to tell him. And, of course, her dad's like, what ticket? Like, what's going on? And Anna's like, no, yeah, nothing, it's nothing. And we find out that instead of going to school after high school, like university, she wants to travel the world for a bit. And her dad is very much not happy about this choice. Like, slams on brakes. And, you know, kind of gives her some sass. They get to the school. Her and her dad, like, continue to get into a little bit. And she makes a comment about, like, not being able to wait until she can get away from him. And John, like, me and Michael already called it, that John was going to be, like, the goofball character, kind of. Just the way he presents himself as a whole. So we get into the school, and he is providing a present where Steph, one of the other main characters, has a, like, thing. I don't really know what the word is that I'm looking for. But she has a little section set up for people to donate presents that she is going to be giving to the homeless. And, you know, John knocks over the whole stack. And, when he first comes in, like, she's on the phone with her partner, and apparently they're not going to be, I guess, spending Christmas together. And so Steph's already in a bad mood. John knocks everything over, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, let me help. And she's like, no, I don't. You know, I don't need your help. Just go. And so she's taking everything to her car, and then we meet Mr. Savage, who is, I guess, the principal or something. I don't know. It is a British show or movie, and I don't know how British schools work compared to American schools, but I know there's obviously a different headmaster, because Savage says that in January, he will be the headmaster, because I guess this other guy is retiring, and he's, like, wearing this big pin, anyway, that says, I'm retiring. But he's, like, a jerk-off character, Savage is, and so he confiscates Steph's keys, and makes a comment about, like, you know, if you park on school grounds, your car becomes school property. Which, freaking weird, because, like, don't all kids who drive to school park on school property, or is that, like, not something that's common over there? Again, a little weird, but whatever. So he takes her car keys and tells her that because she's doing, like, the report for the school newsletter. And he tells her, because it's going to be that homeless story, that she has to drop it. Because it's a school news story and not editorial. And he doesn't approve of it. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to take it to the headmaster. Which is when we find out, like, he's going to be the headmaster. He's like, fine, go for it. But since he's retiring, he's not going to care. So it's what I say. And, so she's obviously very upset because he's censoring myself, sorry. I cannot get any more of this to come out. What is happening? And it comes out all over my paperwork. Hold on, let me finish this eye, and then I'm going to show you what just happened with me trying to do that right after saying nothing is coming out. We skip over to the lunchroom. We have our first, like, musical number, and we get a hint, because, Nick's character, Ben Wiggins, he's, of course, a jerk, and, we get a hint that perhaps he and Anna have a past, because her best friend, Lisa, makes a comment about him being attractive enough that you want to lick chocolate off of him, but you'd have to have no self-respect to want to do so. And then is like, oh, you know, not you, Anna, of course, anyone else. And so there's the hint that either Anna has expressed interest in him, or there's history there in some capacity. But anyway, we get a little sneak peek at, like, the stage setup for the show that's going to be going on. Lisa apparently does a song, well, says she's going to be doing a song about Santa Claus. Steph approaches Chris, which is Lisa's boyfriend, and asks him to come with her after school to the soup kitchen, because I guess he's, like, the big, like, filmer in the school, like, technology and cameras are his thing. Do you see all that? I hope it didn't. No, it didn't. Dump off right as I went to show you. Like, really? And at first he's a little hesitant, because Lisa's, going to be part of the show. But he promises her that he'll be back in time for her song. And so she's like, okay, yeah, fine, you can go. We go to following Anna to her job, which turns out she works at a bowling alley. And John's there talking to her. I guess he works there too. That's not made very, very clear in the beginning, but it is referenced afterward that she misses a pair of shoes and goes to clean them up and takes a broom and essentially golf putts one into the trash can. And John picks up the other one and goes to, I guess, throw it into the trash can. And Anna's like, no, don't, wait. And he hits the older lady that's there, that I guess is the cleaner. At first I thought it was her boss. But, again, due to a comment later, either that or, parts of the movie just misspeak. Anyway, he hits her and, knocks her out. And so they're like, oh, alright, we gotta go. So they leave, go to this little, playground, and are making snow angels. We find out that her mom had, I'm assuming at some point not too far in the past, has passed away. Because she makes a comment about how she and her dad used to make snow angels. And her mom would judge which one of them had the better one, but after her mother passed, they hadn't done it anymore. And she asks John again if he thinks that she's making the wrong decision by taking time off from school before going. And he's like, no, when you go to school, you're going to go, you're going to get your degree, you're going to get an amazing job. And so it doesn't really matter when you go, because you're still going to. And I think it's fine. He's like, besides, I'll come visit you, because she wants to go to Australia, at least first. And he's like, I'll come visit you, and we'll hike our way across the outback. And she's like, that's really far. And he's like, that's fine. I will start walking to school, or jogging to school, and I will get super fit. How about that? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll agree to that. Well, I don't know, because we fast forward to the next morning. Her dad doesn't take her to school, and as we found out, he works at the school. So I don't know how it doesn't immediately occur to her that something's a little funny. But anyway, we start with another musical number, and she, has headphones in, and she's leaving the house for school. And, again, it's meant to be a comedy. So I'm sounding like it's stupid, but it's pretty funny to watch. Because the whole thing, it plays out like a satirical comedy, kind of like Shaun of the Dead style. So I hope that's what they were going for. Because if not, then my rating on the movie is going to change. I will go ahead and tell you that. But if it's meant to not take itself that seriously and just be like Shaun of the Dead style funny, then, spoiler, it is a pretty good movie. But anyway, she comes out of the house singing her little number and is walking past all this freaking chaos and these zombies. There's cars crashed, there's people eating people, there's people on the ground. There's just all kinds of stuff going on, but she is off in her own little world. Full La La Land singing. John is in his backyard, also singing kind of the same song while he's getting ready to leave for school. They wind up meeting up in the graveyard, of all places, and that is when they encounter their first zombie, because, after they're done singing, this guy near them, I cannot find my setting powder all of a sudden. It's very strange. Guess I'll get a different one. Since I had to get a different setting powder anyway, I grabbed a different highlighter. this guy just, like, falls over beside them, and she approaches him, and she's like, I'm a first aid. Like, are you okay? I'm going to go ahead and roll you over. And as she goes to roll him over, because he's in a snowman costume, like a mascot style one. So as she goes to roll him over, he, like, lunges and, like, clearly has a zombie face. And she smacks him with her purse. And then, like, they take a closer look at him and they're like, oh, this is not right. Like, something's going on here. And so that's when they realize, oh, there are zombies. Like, she's in full denial. But John's like, yeah, none of this is normal, okay? Like, we can't pretend that this is not happening. They realize that everyone else must still be at the school, because he makes a comment about he hasn't seen his mom that morning, and has she seen her dad? Which, again, if everyone who was involved in the play had stayed at the school overnight, it seems a little strange that neither of them noticed anything, considering at least one of them was her dad. He just didn't come home. And based on his character, it seems like that would be a little out of the norm for him to just not come home. But anyway, so they decide that probably the best thing for them to do in that moment is go to the bowling alley to see if it's safe, because in theory it should have been locked up. And, you know, then come up with a plan of action, because they can't make it all the way home. And I guess from where they are, the bowling alley is closer than the school. And so they head off there, and turns out, I skipped a whole thing. The show that went on at the school. Chris, of course, had told Lisa he would be there in time for her song, but also said that his gran was coming, and that she was really excited to see Lisa, blah, blah, blah. So while the show is going on and Lisa is performing her very, very, very inappropriate Santa song, by the way, like, take all the stuffing jokes, sack jokes, anything that you can come up with pretty much, and you're probably going the right direction with it, okay? Incredibly inappropriate. And I get the movie's rated R, but it's like, this is also supposed to be a high school, and so, like, Savage gets angry, and it's like, even though he's a jerk, I kind of get it in that instance. Because, excuse me. But anyway, while she's performing, you look out in the crowd and you see the seat that's reserved for Chris next to his grand, and he's obviously not there, which means that he and Steph have not made it back from their filming at the soup kitchen. So anyway, fast forward back. Woo. Anna and John get to the bowling alley, and Chris and Steph are there. So they're like, you know, how did you get in? And, like, did you break it in? And Steph was like, no, the back door was unlocked. And Anna kind of looks over at John, and John's like, that's the cleaner's job, not mine. And then he's like, oh, well, she might have been a little disoriented, which is kind of like, oh, the lady at the beginning was the cleaner, and I guess not just, like, the boss, but anyway. So they're all there talking about, like, what's going on, and, like, how they're gonna get over to the school, because, like, that's where everyone's gotta be. And Steph and Anna go into the bathroom, and they realize that there's, like, a stall shut, and there's someone in it. So they, like, really carefully try to open the stall. Turns out it's the cleaner lady. She's a zombie. Steph winds up bashing her head with the toilet lid. And, so while they're, like, kind of freaking out about that, some more zombies bust through the window, or, excuse me, through the wall next to them into the bathroom. And so they rush out into the bowling alley to warn the guys, like, there are zombies in here. And there's this whole zombie killing scene, blah, blah, blah. So we fast forward, wake up the next morning, and there are, like, bombs raining down on the city. So we know that the military's there, but can only assume that that's like a last resort thing, because obviously there must be that many of them that there's not really another option other than to just mass clear out what you can. And so they're like, okay, we really have to try to get to the school, because if anyone is still there, like, we might be able to all get out of here and, you know, get the military, whatever. So they're like, okay, well, let's look outside and see what's going on with the military. And it's like, you look outside and all these military zombies are walking around. It's like, oh, okay, cool, great. So that answers that. So they go to leave anyway. And I have to reference my notes in a second, because there's a few little events coming up, and I don't want to get them in the wrong order. Okay. Let's see. Put this up. Okay, yeah, they sneak out under there's a ball pit in the bowling alley, and they empty it out and sneak out and wind up, an old lady sits on it and pees right over Steph's head, which is a whole, like, scene. But then there's, like, actual zombies that come up. They wind up getting rescued by Nick Benwiggins, the bully, and his friends, who have apparently been spending most of this time looting and taking care of zombies as they make their way through. They make a comment about Nick's dad, because I guess he's military, and Nick's like, oh no, he already had to go to the base. And so since they know what happened with the military, or at least most of them, Anna goes ahead and apologizes. She's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, you know, it's whatever. And, so anyway, Nick and his buddies start taking care of the zombies. They do this big musical number where Nick is the lead singer, which he has a really good voice, by the way, if that's him actually singing. I was very surprised. And, about him being a soldier at war and knowing how to take care of zombies, and it's a really interesting little moment. But can't talk and lying my lips. He's still a jerk. His friends are still jerks. He makes a bunch of rude comments to John. Says that he and his buddies have to tag along with them because they can't let the women go without some real men. And, so anyway, zombie. They make their way over to, like, a Christmas tree farm and say that they're going to take a shortcut through that because it's a lot quicker way, I guess, to get to the school than having to go all the way around it and everything. So they're like, even if there are zombies inside, you know, we'll just take care of them and make our way through and, you know, get over to the school. Well, while they're in here, there's this little, like, jump scare moment with a gnome. But then they're actually zombies. And Nick's 2 friends both wind up getting bit. Or 3 friends. Anyway, the people that Nick came with wind up getting bit. And turn. And then Chris almost gets bit because he trips and, like, his phone falls. And he turns around to try to go get his phone. Luckily, Steph kicks the zombie that tries to get him and makes a comment about, like, that being really stupid. But now it's just the 4 of them. It is Anna, John, Chris, and Nick. Excuse me. Anna, John, Chris, and Steph. And Nick. Wait, so is it 5 of them? I swear. I even wrote, I think. Yeah. I'm apparently losing my mind. Yeah. So anyway, right at the end, they're in this, like, other building about to get right into the school, and John gets bit on the arm. So he, like, puts himself around Anna like a shield and, like, backs into the zombies and, like, turns and throws her and sacrifices himself to save her. And so, of course, she's really upset, and Nick and all them are like, listen, I understand you're very upset, but we need to keep going. And Steph is, like, the voice of reason, and she's like, your dad is waiting for you somewhere. You need to just, and let's go. So Anna gets, like, real tough, like, final girl moment, and is okay with now hurting the zombies. They make it to the school, and Savage locks them into a room with a bunch of zombies that he has let into the school. And they wind up getting out and go to find Savage. Chris and Steph go to try to find Lisa and his gran to see if they're still okay. They wind up finding them because Chris hears Lisa's song playing. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my hair down. They're in, like, a broom closet or something, hiding. And Lisa tells them they had made it out when Savage let the zombies in. But because of how far they had to go in the stress of the situation, his gran's heart didn't make it. And so she is no longer with them. She's laying on the floor with her head on a pillow. And, you know, of course, Chris is very upset, but he is grateful that she's at least not one of the zombies. So anyway, the 3 of them leave. They go to try to get to Mr. Savage's office to get Steph's car keys that he confiscated earlier in the movie. And they make their way to that area, but I guess there's, like, a teacher's lobby right before that, and it's full of zombies. And so Steph goes and, like, crawls through the room to get over to Savage's office. And while she's in there rifling through the drawer, she winds up pulling out an inappropriate SEX toy out of his drawer that I guess he confiscated from a student. And she's like, ah! And, of course, makes noise, and the zombies hear her and start coming that way. Well, Nick, or I don't know why I keep mixing up Nick and Chris's name. Chris gets the bright idea to go plug his phone into the TV and start playing a video so that the zombies are attracted to that sound instead. But Chris and Lisa are hiding behind the TV. And so when Steph finally comes out with her keys and she's like, what are y'all doing? Like, get down and try to crawl out. I have the keys. Long story short, they both wind up getting bit, so Steph has to leave by herself. Anna winds up in a room with Nick where he, I guess, let me check again order of events, because it's kind of important. Yeah. So they're in a room and talking, and he tells her, because, like, she's clearly upset with him, he tells her that he's sorry, but, like, whoever let it get out that they had slept together, it wasn't him. And she's like, that's not what I'm mad about. What I'm mad about is that, like, we talked about the future, you acted like you cared and, like, it meant anything, and we talked about, like, all these plans, and then you broke up with me. And he's just like, oh. She's like, oh, that's it? Like, that's literally all you have to say right now? So she asks him, she's like, you know, you're really selfish. Like, when was the last time you did anything that wasn't about you? And he's like, I killed my dad. Now, mind you, remember earlier he said his dad went to the military base, but here we find out that's not the case. His dad had gotten bit, and Nick had to take care of him, and his final sentence to Nick was also quite aggressive, and it was, for once, don't let me down. So anyway, we get this little moment, and a bunch of zombies come in. Nick, like, distracts them, like, runs over, starts singing his song, tells Anna to get out of there and find her dad. And, so she leaves, eventually finds her dad. He is on the stage with Savage, but her dad is tied up with Christmas lights. And Savage turns the spotlight on Anna, makes this comment about, like, oh, you've got some, it's not final girl, I don't think. Main girl, whatever. He makes some snarky comment about, like, oh, how she's this big badass girl or whatever, and, like, she's there now, but in order to save her dad, she now has to get all the other zombies that are in this auditorium, and, like, he makes noise. They have a musical number together, kind of saying, like, the opposite, where she's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and he's like, no, you're not, you suck, and I'm the smart one, blah, 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 because that's been his kind of shtick the whole time, is that he knows everything. And, like, yes, he's an adult and they're high school kids, but it's not a sense of, like, they're acting like they know everything. He's just a butthead and doesn't want them to be right about anything. So, long story short, fast forward, she winds up getting up there and she frees her dad, and he and Savage get into it. He winds up punching Savage and almost giving him to the zombies, and then changes his mind last minute and, like, brings him back up. Savage goes to grab something to hit her dad, and she has, like, kind of a flashback earlier in the movie. One of the stars that's hanging on the stage, the rope comes loose and it, like, just swings forward. So she goes and, like, loosens that rope, and the star comes and smacks Savage and knocks him into the remaining group of zombies. So she gets her dad, and she's like, alright, we have to go. Let's go. And he's like, no. She's like, what do you mean, no? And he turns and shows her the back of his leg, and he's been bit. And so, of course, she's very upset. Right at this moment, Nick comes in, and her and her dad have this cute little moment where he's like, you know, your mom would be so proud of you. Thank you so much for everything, blah, blah, blah. Kind of the redemption from earlier in the movie. And Nick takes her away, and they're outside in the parking lot trying to figure out, like, what the heck they're going to do now, because there are still zombies all in the parking lot, all around the school. And I guess they're at the point where they're like, you know, I don't think that we can do anything about all of these and get out of here. And right then, Steph pulls up, and she's like, boom, saved your lives, let's go. So anyway, they get in the car, and they start driving off, and the movie ends. But, the way I left it off kind of sounds dumb, but making sure that I didn't miss anything right there at the end. Yeah, no. I give it 4 out of 5 buns, honestly. I especially, like I said, if it's meant to be Shaun of the Dead style humor. We're gonna look at my makeup look. Especially if it's meant to be that level of humor, I think it did really good with being self-aware and still funny at the same time. So, 4 out of 5 buns. If you've seen it, let me know. And we're going to be doing something different, in this video. Let me know a movie down below, your favorite horror movie, okay? The ones that I have not seen, I will put on my list to do reviews for, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So there's going to be one of you that winds up winning the duplicate eyeglass that I got from my Jeffrey boxing, and then one of you will win something else. Okay, so this one, from the movies that I have not seen, I'm going to enter into a random generator and pick one. That will be the winner for that. And then, also tell me your favorite horror movie. You can give 2. That way it's like one that you think I've probably seen, and then one that I probably haven't seen. And then, if any of you have the same favorite horror movie as I do, which I hope I haven't said in a video before, but anyway, so you know that I'm not joking, on the page where I rated, up here, I'm going to write the movie that currently is my favorite. I'm not going to show you, but you'll know it's on that page so that you know I can't fake it. It's under my hand. If any of you have the same horror movie as me, you'll be entered for another giveaway. I'm going to be giving this, I'll say through the end of January. That gives everyone a month. You know, share with your friends or something. I don't know. I don't say that kind of stuff, like share my video. So share my video. Have your friends come put their favorite horror movie so they can be entered. And I can have some possibly new movies to review. But yeah, so 2 giveaways. One for the eyeglass, which is just going to be a random decider. And then another one for if anyone has the same favorite horror movie as I do. So that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because I've been rambling probably for about 40 minutes. And thumbs up, subscribe, I guess share, and I'll see you guys next time.